right. Well, it is 2 a.m. here, or 2 p.m. here in Texas. And so we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. My name is Crystal, and today I'll be guiding you through the Study Island assignments, the different types of assignments that are available to you. Just some information for you. We um, we are me and my colleague Jocelyn Thompson are on your webinar today, and so if you have any questions, feel free to click that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and chat in your question to Jocelyn, and she'll be answering questions throughout. We'll also have a question and answering portion towards the end of the session. Feel free to save them for that portion if you have them as well, or just chat throughout the session. Before we get started, let me introduce myself so you know, have a little background on who I am. Again, my name is Crystal King, and I was born and raised here in Dallas, Texas. I do currently reside in Dallas, Texas, and I didn't stem far from home when I decided to go and get my undergrad bachelor's in human development and family sciences at the University of Texas. So I'm pretty native. I didn't go far. I currently work as a services implementation specialist here at Admentum. And one thing that we really try to embody and live out on a daily basis is this educator first mantra, which basically just says we are here to serve you as you are an educator and you are the center of the classroom. And so you're at the center of our hearts. So we just want to make sure that everything that we do for you is helps you to be the best when serving your students. So again, today's webinar will be over Study Island assignments. And I like to start off webinars with just a basis for anyone that's new of what Study Island is. I know we have some returning users, but also some new users. So I'm going to quickly explain Study Island and what you'll be using it for in your classroom. So Study Island is a standards mastery question-based formative assessment tool. It is designed to help K through 12 students master the content specified in your state or national standards. And then your students are just able to improve performance on their core skills through a targeted review of those questions. Students receive immediate feedback and built-in remediation, and then teachers receive actionable data, allowing them to easily monitor student progress and differentiate instruction. Study Island is ideal for either a self-paced instructional model where students can kind of select their own content, or an assignment-based teacher-directed instructional model, which is where we're going to be focusing our attention today. And that's where you can give your students assignments that are aligned to the standards or objectives that match your current learning or lesson plan that you're already doing in your classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our agenda screen. And today we'll really just be covering the different types of assignments in Study Island. I'm going to give a live demonstration of how you create those different types of assignments, as well as a demonstration of the student settings where you can make some accommodations for your students if needed. We're also going to have a question and answering portion towards the end, but feel free to ask your questions as we go. And then I'm also going to focus on, or point you to where you can go to get ongoing help and support. All right. So there are really 5 types of assignments in Study Island. I'm focusing in on 3 for time purposes. I want to keep this webinar at about 30 minutes. And so the 3 most popular types of assignments are the practice and instruction assignment, the group session assignments, and then built tests. We also have the writing assignment and the custom material feature where you can create your own questions and answers, but I won't be covering those today. But if you do have any questions, feel free to ask towards the end and I can assist you with those. So the types of assignments, again, are practice and instruction. And practice and instruction questions are pulled from a bank at random. So each topic that your students will be practicing is standards aligned, and your students can go either individually or you can assign an assignment that is a practice and instruction. Practice and instruction assignments have 2 types of modals. both practice mode and game mode, and they're really the same thing. The only difference is practice mode allows your students to just practice the questions one after the other, where game mode incentivizes the student or awards the student after getting the answer correct. Those game mode games last about 45 seconds to 1 minute, and they only get to play the game if they get the question correct. So it's just a great way to motivate your students to do well on those questions. So students will, practice the brevity of those questions, and it will be at random. And what we've found is that there's kind of a sweet spot to the practice. So if your students practice 30 minutes per subject per week, they will see growth in their state summative assessment. And you can read more about that study. It's called the Marzano Research Study. You can find it in the Help Center, and I'll also be sending it out after our webinar today. The other types of assignments we have is group sessions. Now, group sessions allow you and your students to practice questions in a small or whole group setting. And what you do is you really just project that question on the board. You can even teach to it or teach beforehand that concept that the question is over. And then students are able to answer that question that you're projecting using a mobile device. So it's a great way for you to formatively assess your students and see if they've grasped the concept that you've just taught. Then the other type of assignment we have is the built test. And in built test, it's called a test, but it could be used as any type of assignment you would like. So in these type of assignments, you do select the questions your students will see, and those questions can come from any programs available in your account. So if you have, 2nd through 6th grade material in your account, you can select questions from those different grade levels, different subjects, and really hone in on the skills you want to focus on. Built test, again, can be used as a test or a regular assignment. You can assign a built test multiple times. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into using or showing those type of assignments. Do we have any questions before I move on about the differences between the 3 types of assignments? Nope. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump in and just exit out of the screen and pull up my study island. All right, so one thing I want to point out as a prerequisite to creating any of these assignments is that you have to create a class. And if you're not sure how to create a class, always remember that you can go to the Help Center, as you see on my screen here, click the Help button, and if you scroll down to the How-To/Tours, there's a Create an Assignment or Create a Class button right here, and it'll walk you through how to create an assignment. For time's sake, I'm not going to do that. I have some classes already created that I'm going to show you, but feel free to go in there if you need to create a class first. All right, so I'm on the teacher page, and from the teacher page, you can create all those assignment types we spoke about. Now, keep in mind, this can also be done from the class manager page after clicking on your class. It'll take you pretty much to the same place, but I like to do one thing from one area, to be honest. I don't like clicking around. So I tend to focus my attention on the teacher page to do to do anything I need to do. So we have the practice and instruction assignment. I'm going to do that one first. It's our most popular assignment. Once clicking on it, it will ask me for my class, and I'll just use my first period class here. I'm going to hit submit, but you can use the drop down and select multiple classes. All right, so once you do that, you'll give your assignment a title, and this is what your students will see. I'm just going to use homework. All right, and then we have the enforced dates feature, and enforced dates just allows your students to be able to access these access this assignment during specific dates. So once my end date approaches, my students won't be able to access it anymore. We have activate assignment. If you want your students to see it, you'll keep that as yes. If you don't want them to see it just yet, you'll just turn it to no. And then you'll include any instructions to your students. So anything you want them to know before going into their questions, you can put your instructions there. We also have additional preferences. I'm not going to select any, but you do have the option of a standard or scientific calculator. And then the override class preferences allows you to differentiate say this was a student assignment, you could differentiate a little different preferences for the student in this area. So we have the game mode that you can control by a percentage or turn it off for this specific assignment. You have the hide timer, enable scratch pad, additional highlighters, and then building blocks. Now, building blocks, it allows your students to remediate into topics or on topics that they score lower than a 40% on. So if you want your student to be able to remediate lower, you would just keep that at yes, or if you don't, you would turn that to no. So once you do that, you will hit next assignment options, where you will select your program, and these are those state-aligned standards and content. So we have my Texas programs here. This is my trial account, so that's why you're seeing Texas, and I have a lot of content here, but it will be specified to your state and to what you have purchased. You would just select, and then you also have US programs, which is your national standards. I'm going to go ahead and just choose first grade, and then I'll go with reading, and you'll see that I'm given my topics. Now, I'm going to slow down a little bit here, and I want to show you that you're able to select multiple topics. You just check the box. You can even control the number of questions that students need to pass the topic, as well as the percentage they need. So you can just type that in, or you can use the up and down arrow. So by default, you'll see most of the time that the default will be 10 questions with at least a 70%. However, if you need more questions, you would just increase that number or increase that percentage. You're also given an idea of what the questions are. So you can see the bank here. If you click the Q, and it'll show you the questions. And you can expand and make it bigger. All right, and then you have the expectation map, or whatever your standard alignment is called for expectations or for standards. You'll see that there. So you have that before you create the assignment to look at. Once you do that, you'll just scroll down and hit the next students, where you can go. And I did have a class. I can go specifically and expand the class and just choose students out of my class. So again, another way to differentiate learning. And if I'm good with my whole class, I can just close that. And if I have multiple classes, I can give it to multiple classes there if I needed to. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And that is your class assignment, or your practice and instruction assignment. All right. And you'll see it is this one, the homework. And they have different icons. The assignment types have different icons. This one is practice and instruction. The next one is built test. I'm going to do a group session before we do a built test. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add an assignment. Since I'm already on my class manager, I'm going to do it from here. And this is just another way you can do it. You would just choose the assignment type, which is going to be group session here, and then click create assignment. All right, so I'll give my assignment a title. So again, this is something your students will see. So practice for Friday's test. All right. It shows me when my session will be available. So they are only available a week, and that can't be changed. But you can always go in and create another assignment if you want it to last, you know, from the 14th to, what is that, the 21st. All right. So that's my open dates, and then show question or hide question. This is for if you have students maybe using a smartphone and you don't want the question to show up on their phone because maybe the image is too big, or you only want them to be able to choose their answer choices. This is great for when you're projecting the question on the screen. So you can show or hide your question there. And then I can select either practice topics, which are my Texas, for me, my state and national topics, or I can choose a built test. So if you have created a built test, you can run a group session from that built test, and we'll explore built test in just a minute. So I'm going to hit next, assignment options. And then I have to choose the number of questions I want in my group session. So if you're having you know, maybe 30 minutes to do this, you may want to select a low question number so you can get through all the questions. You can always come back to a group session. So if you want to select 20, you can, and maybe do it over a course of like 2 days or 3 days, you can. But I'm going to go ahead and just select 10, and then get into selecting your content again. So I'm going to do first grade reading. You can't go wrong with first grade reading. You can't get questions wrong with first grade reading on, well, while I'm showing you guys, I can't get them wrong. So I chose my 2 topics. And again, you have those icons, and then you'll go to next classes. So again, you'd always have to make sure you have a class before you do any of those assignment types. All right, so I've selected my class. I'll just hit save. And when I hit save, it's going to ask if you're ready to start the session. So you can start the session immediately if you are about to, you know, start your class and want to have it up, or you can save it for later and come back and launch it at a later time. So it's a great way for you to start creating sessions for future class periods. I'm going to start sessions so I can just show you what the group session looks like. So I have my question here, and this is the teacher end of things. I have my question, I have my answer choices, and students can select their answer choices from their mobile device. I would start polling, and when I start polling, students would be able to see, they would be able to see the question and start answering that question. Here would be my students. So I have 8 students in my class right now. None of them are in the class, but once they started entering, I would be able to see which students answered the question and which one did not answer the question. And it's indicated by a filled circle next to their name. Once the student got the answer correct or incorrect, I would be able to see, or as those students started answering the questions, I would be able to see how many students have answered. So my goal is to see 8 questions answered and how many got it correct or incorrect. I could also show them the correct answer, which right now I'm showing the correct answer, and it's indicated that turtle here is the correct answer. And then I can also maybe show the results. And right now I don't have any results because I don't have any students signed up. But as I go along, I can see, you know, which sessions or which students got the question correct and which one got them incorrect. And it'll be indicated with a star here for correct or an X for incorrect. All right, so I'm going to save that for later so I can show you the next type of assignment. All right, and so the next type of assignment is a built test. And again, you can do that straight from the class manager and class page and assignments here by just hitting add assignment, or you can do it from the teacher page here. So multiple ways to do it. So I'm going to click create a built test. And this test title is the title that you want to give your test, not necessarily what the students will see. The first part is just creating the test. So if you wanted to get really specific here, 2018, 2019, first grade fall assessment, you could do that. You would just add any additional information about the test. And then the description here is good because you have the ability to share a test with other teachers. So even though you might know what your test is for, maybe other teachers do not. So you can add some additional information so they have an idea what test, what the test is composed of. So I would hit next questions. And again, for built tests, you can choose from multiple programs. You can even choose from custom material, which is material that where you've written your own questions. You can choose from that. I don't have any right now, so I'm just going to stick with my Texas programs. And you'll see I get kind of that same look that is over on the left-hand side of your screen. And here I have my grade levels. I can choose from multiple grade levels, and this would be the question count. So right now I don't have any questions selected, but once I do go in and choose my subject and my topic, I can then start selecting questions. Now, there are two types of questions you can put in your test. There's the assessment questions and the practice questions. Assessment questions are questions that your students will not see during practice and instruction. So these are questions that your students probably have never seen. Practice questions are questions where your students may have seen them in practice because they come from that bank. So you would just hit the plus sign icon, and it's going to start showing you those questions. So you can come here and select the questions you want your students to work on. Now, the instances button here allows you to choose how many times the student will see this type of question. So what it'll do for this question, for instance, is that it'll change the number maybe to 14 or 15, and then the student will get two questions, one with 13 and one with 15 or 14, based on the number of instances you have. So if I added 2 instances, I'd have 2 questions, and you'll see 2 questions were added here. All right. So you can go from one topic to another topic and choose the number of questions you like. You have the standards that's covered for that topic. You can even go into multiple grade levels. So if I wanted to go now to 3rd grade, I could do the 3rd grade math. You can really build a master test if you wanted to. But yes, you can go in and choose multiple grade levels, multiple subjects, whatever you would want to focus your students' attention on. When it comes to questions, you could come in and select them. So I only have 2 questions already from 1st grade. I'm just going to save for time purposes. Just scroll to the bottom. And your options here are to save to the library and exit, or to create the assignment now. So if you didn't want it to create the assignment, you don't have to. You can save and come back to it and finish building your test, or you can create the assignment now. I'm going to go ahead and save so I can show you the built test library. And this is my library. So for 1st grade math, I have 2 tests that I've built, the one I just built with you guys. But I could also come here and see all tests that I have created by just selecting all programs. So I only have 2, but I could also see created by other. So these are all the tests that have been shared, maybe from the district or from other teachers. All right. So just so you know, the built test library can be accessed from the main menu, so you don't have to create a test to get to the built test library. And then over here, we have some actions for each built test. You can view the details of the test, where you have the option to share the test, and that's within the school. Now, if you wanted to share it with a district, you would need a district administrator to import the test from the school and then share it to another school. All right, so that's the share test. We have copy test. Copy test is good because once your test has been assigned, you cannot edit it. It protects the integrity of the test. So copy test will allow you to create another built test and then maybe remove some questions, add other questions to it, and you can assign it that way. And then delete test is deleting the test. Once you delete it, it's gone, and so is all associated data for that test. You have the option to preview the built test, which will send you into that student mode. You have the option to assign the test, which is how you would then create the assignment. And then for me, I have the option to edit the test, but I only have the option to edit because I have not assigned it yet. Once I assign it, it'll become locked and I can't edit it anymore. I would need to copy it. Any questions about that? Check with Jocelyn. Jocelyn, do we have any questions? No? Okay. All right. So those are the 3 assignment types. Again, we do have other assignments like the custom material and the writing assignment, which you can get from the teacher page, and you can use those as well. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the student side, or the student settings, sorry, so I can show you the new student settings we have available. So the student settings, you access it from the teacher page. You just click on student settings here. And this is where you'll want to come if you need to make any accommodations. So we have adjust passing goal, which allows you to adjust the passing goal that the students need to earn their blue ribbon. So you would choose your program, so the content that you're adjusting. So I'm going to choose first grade, and then the class that you're adjusting it for. All right. And then I can change, it didn't ask me about my subjects, but it's because here I choose the subject where I want to change the passing goal. So you don't have to change the passing goal for every subject. You can just do your subject. And so right now I'm changing it for math. And this is changing the default. So right now, again, students can go in and practice those questions individually or without any teacher intervention, but you can go and control the number of questions they have to complete independently. So right now the default is 10 questions with 70%. I could change the number of questions by clicking count and then increasing the question number and the passing percentage. All right. You can type that in. I'm just clicking the button. Then you would choose the students you want to change that for. You can do all of them. If you had a student that you had a large class and you can't visually see where they are, you could search, and then you just select the students that you want to change that for. Once you hit submit, it just makes sure that it's just asking if you're sure. You hit yes. And now for Ben in math, he has to have at least 15 questions with an 80%. Same for Wanda. All right, so we also have restrict access. Now, restrict access allows you to set the student to a certain type of or certain content material. So for Ben, if I only wanted Ben to be able to independently work on first grade material, I could select him here, restrict him to first grade material, say he's on an IEP. And then if I didn't want him to see that grade level, I could just hit hide grade level for Ben and hit submit. And now he is restricted to only first grade material, and he won't know that. Now, that does not affect any assignments that he is given through class assignments. This is only for independent work. All right, so next we have modify practice session, which allows you to reduce the number of questions that your students will see or that your student that you're selecting will see. So if I only wanted Ben to see one question, or sorry, 3 questions versus the 4, I could reduce the answer choice by 1. All right, and then lastly, we have the read aloud setting. The read aloud setting is for if your students need the program to read to them. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my class. I can go subject specific, or I could just do all subjects by just selecting all, or this selects all the students in that subject, but I would just hit select all for each subject. And then I can even turn it on for specific students. And this will only impact Ben's math. He'll be able to turn the read aloud on for his math. All right. So do we have any questions before I move forward? All right. So I'm going to go back to our presentation. That pretty much wraps it up. And this is the part where you can ask any question related to assignments or not. Feel free to just put them in the question and answering portion if you have them. Even if you're a returning user and you just, have something that you want to know any updates about. Jocelyn, do we have any questions? All right. Well, finally, so that you know where you can go if you do have questions, we do have our customer support department. That is lovely. They're available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and that's Central Time. They're available by phone and the numbers listed on the screen, or email, or even chat for Study Island. So there's a live support button. I'm not sure if you can see it in this screenshot, but it's next to the Help Center button. You can click on live support and chat in your questions if you're in class or just need some quick assistance. Feel free to chat into customer support. And then finally, my email is at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to reach out to me. I used to be in support, so I may be able to help with some technical questions, but if not, feel free to ask me any implementation questions. And if I don't know, I'll definitely get you to someone who does. Awesome. Well, my last slide is just to, if you have time, go ahead and join in on our conversation with your favorite social media platform. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out and add us so that you can stay in the loop of what's going on. And I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting. You have a great day.